Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar on our most exciting, amazing BCom that we'd like to talk to you about. Welcome, and we've seen a lot of questions in the chat already. We, as a team, are very excited to be engaging with you and to be talking you through what we are very excited about, our BCom. So who's all here with me and who am I? Well, I'm Johnathan Dillon. I am the head of the School of Professional Accounting at Millpark Education. In our school, we have a postgraduate department where we've got our PGDA and our bridging program. That's not what this session is about, but maybe we'll touch on it a little bit if there are some questions in the chat. And then we've got our undergraduate department. That's what we're focusing on in this webinar. So in our undergraduate department, we have our new BCom. Our BCom was launched at the beginning of last year, a very exciting year in 2023, the first year, which had rolled into the second year this year. We're halfway through the second year. We are having this webinar because we have our mid-year intake that's starting pretty soon. So looking forward to that. And we are trusting that we'll answer a lot of your questions and give you some insight. So who's with me? Charmari Wolmarans is with me here. And she is the head of department for the undergraduate department within our school. So she's the chief of the BCom. With her on her team is Leonie van Niekerk. Leonie is an academic. Jean-Pierre Malchas is also with her, also an academic on the team. Lecturers on the BCom. Leonie is predominantly focused on the first year with law modules, maths, and stats. Jean-Pierre is a bit of first year, a bit of second year, and I know Jean-Pierre, he's got a liking for management accounting, that subject that many people don't like. He, like me, are differently wired where we like that subject. We know we can make it exciting, right? Like we do on our BCom as well. So yeah, they're on the academic team. And then Terry Lee Ratcliffe. Terry is a student support and development advisor. So she is not an academic, but plays a very important role within our team, supporting our students. And Terry, you're going to share quite a bit about that just now in terms of how we support our students, not only on the academic side, but on the non-academic front. And then the star of the show, last, definitely not least, is Tegan Vincent. Tegan, thank you for joining us. Tegan is a current student on our BCom. Tegan has completed her first year with us, and she's going into her second year. And we're going to hear quite a bit from Tegan a little later. I'm very keen to hear more of your journey and story, Tegan. I know you were at a previous residential contact university, and you kind of left that and were a little bit in the wilderness, and then you found us. So we're keen to hear about you having found us and your journey with us. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. But a little bit about BCom quickly, and then we're going to get into looking at some specific facets thereof. Our BCom is new. As I said, it was started last year, and it is a BCom in accounting. It is focused predominantly at this point in time in being the first degree in a step towards you, if you are a prospective student, looking at qualifying as a chartered accountant. So we have the main CA stream that we have at present. And in that regard, we are not yet SAICA accredited, but we are talking to SAICA and watch this space because we are almost, very, very almost SAICA accredited. That'll happen within the next few months, and that news will feed through. So what do we mean by that is SAICA can't accredit a program that hasn't yet been run. So you've got to run a program before SAICA can kind of look at it, ideally, and see what you're about. So we've been about what we know we want to do in the BCom, and our SAICA is busy chatting to us, and we're showing them about the goodness of our BCom. So that is in the cards. What does that mean for you as a student or those that have already registered with us? You can do articles. And you'd maybe just need to register for 5-year articles. But as soon as it becomes accredited, that would, we're asking SAICA, and we're pretty confident that we'll get retrospective accreditation. So it would apply to all the students already on the BCom. And the benefit of doing obviously a psych accredited degree is you'll then be able to sign up for 3-year articles if you're doing articles while you are studying. So that's just about the psych accreditation. It is a BCom in accounting focused on being a good preparatory first degree for those wanting to qualify as chartered accountants. Okay, so that's our BCom. But there's many BComs in accounting. So what makes ours different? Our BCom was crafted from scratch. It is unlike any other BCom in the country. I don't know about any other one. If you know about one that's similar, then please do let me know. But essentially, it was not built on a siloed approach like the many other BComs, almost every other BCom is. Law presented by the law faculty, stats presented by the stats faculty, economics presented by faculty and staff from the economics department, business management, etc. That's how most BComs, especially traditional BComs, are stitched together. And I've been at university and taught at a few universities where that has happened. And Jean-Pierre, you and I were chatting yesterday and just saying, like, we actually feel like we were got a bit of the short end of the straw, didn't get serviced that well when we look at the BCom that we put together, just in terms of the rich experience and that. And what have we done? We basically looked at Psychos competency framework. We've looked at schema. We've looked at what employers want. We've looked at what the workplace needs. We've looked at the graduate attributes we want students to have at the end of their journey on the BCom. And we've said, well, this is what a BCom needs to look like. So if you come and study with us, you are going to start your first year with a company. It's an e-bike company. And you start in that company with it being a sole trader. And then you go with that company throughout your 3 years. And you, at the beginning of your journey, are already engaging with what is the mission? What is the vision? What is this company about? We've got to make some big decisions, which oftentimes you encounter on another degree later on in your study journey. But we want it to make sense for you. And what makes sense is, well, let's register the company. Let's make these decisions. And what are we about? What product do we want to make? What is us? Where we're going at the beginning of the journey? Because what does that do? It helps that everything else that we bring along the journey makes more sense as you learn about things like deferred tax that may scare you, or impairments, or whatever it may be, that you're like, why are we doing it? Well, we'll tell you why you're doing it, because we're doing it when that company needs to do it, and it makes sense. And we understand that a lot of students also don't have business experience, come from school, and you learning these things without a context, and we wanted to have a rich context. So actually on the BCom, for the first, I think it's 5 weeks of the BCom, you do one module. Charmari, you must correct me if I'm wrong there, but it's called Introduction to Professional Accounting Studies. And you don't do anything else. You just do one module for 5 weeks, because we said in these 5 weeks, we want to tell you a little bit about everything so that you're well orientated for the rest of your BCom journey. And then after those 5 weeks, we then, in the next 8 weeks of your first semester, then get you into law, maths, and some of your other modules that you then do, and then modules thereafter. We have themes in our BCom, delivery themes. We don't have the traditional Big Four subjects. We've got delivery themes that make sense. And we can talk a bit more about that as well. So we really have tried to also then ensure that when you go on this journey, there's context, like I said, and we've put a lot of money, thought, effort into this to not just try and develop something that's different for the sake of being different, but develop something that is relevant and needed in the marketplace, and that'll add value to you and your life if you come and study with us. So the first thing that I'd like to talk about is a bit more about the structure of the BCom. So Charmari, maybe I want to just pull you in here as the HOD and overseeing this program, because you see all of the modules and everything that comes together. So you want to maybe just tell us about the delivery themes, and from your perspective, are you excited about the BCom?
Thank you, Jonathan. Welcome, students or prospective students, rather. Let me call you that. It's exciting to have you in the session with us. If I might also just put that out there before I answer your question, Jonathan. So, students, as Jonathan said, we have taken let's call it a traditional accounting degree, and we've completely revamped it because about 2 years ago, SAICA created a new competency framework. So, what SAICA did is they brought in digital competencies and general business skills. And I like to call it SAICA tries to create a little CEO of a small company. You need to know a little bit about everything in business. All right. So, because SAICA did that, when Millpark decided to roll out their BCom degree, we decided to not go the traditional route, such as maybe other universities, but to rather incorporate the SAICA framework from the start. Okay. Therefore, it's not, for example, pure management accounting. Our module is rather analysis and decision making because, yes, you may use the technical skills of management accounting. So you are not losing out on any of the technical skills that any other university will provide for their students. But we are going a step further to say, cool, here's the principles of management accounting. But now, what do you do with that? You need to analyze what you've done. You need to make decisions. You need to have that ability to critically think and solve problems. All right. So that is why we do not, for example, have the four traditional main modules, which would be tax, auditing, management accounting, and financial accounting. We have 5 delivery themes. All right. Which analysis and decision making, for example, is one of them. So that is why we are doing it a little bit different, because we also want to make sure that you are chartered accountant of the future and that you have the skills and the capabilities and abilities that the workplace needs. So yeah, Jonathan, I hope that answers the question. And students, if you have any questions with regard to that, I'll keep on watching the chat in the question box.
Yeah, and on that, I made the point that it's stitched together, knitted together as well. So when any module was created, it was not just the content. It's how does it fit on the journey where the company is. The modules also talk to each other. So you've already done this here, now bring it in here, it links with that there. So it's knitted together very nicely. Some of the graduate attributes that make SITE you as well is, we want to develop critical thinkers that come out, that understand digital, the world of this AI and everything that's out there that, we don't even know what's going to happen in 2 years, but in 2 years' time, we may actually have a different module that's talking to that technology that's out now, or different content that's there. So there's that. But the one thing is, we are an online program. So what does that mean for you? And I'm going to call you in to just feed in on this soon, Tegan, being a student with us, because that may be just this thing of, okay, now online. But I want to make the point that what we strive to be is an online contact institution. So although we're online, we never want you to feel alone. We never want you to feel isolated in that. And we'll talk a little bit to how we've constructed the program to ensure that doesn't happen. But the point I wanted to make as well is we've built it so that it is flexible. The program is flexible. So you don't have to be at a lecture at 8 o'clock or at 3:30 or whenever it is. You can fit the program around your life. Now that is beautiful and nice, but what it means, there's an onus that's on you as well as a prospective student, because we don't hand out degrees at Millpark, right? So if anybody ever said that, that is a total lie. And no, we don't do that. We provide excellent, good, and proper education, and we want to support you. But you've got to bring your part. And what is your part? I always say to students, if you want to be successful with us, number one, make sure you've got the time to study. If you don't make the time, you can't be successful. That's in any program, any degree that you do. Number two, you need discipline. Now, we are not going to be the discipline for you. We're not going to tell you be that 8 o'clock lecture or be that 3:30 lecture, etc. So And what's beautiful about the program, and that's where Terry, you're going to talk about that later, not academic support, is if you're struggling in any of these domains, there's help for that as well. But you need discipline, because if you need to watch a video, if you need to read something, you need the discipline to do that. And then 3, and this is very important, and we help with this as well, you need a belief in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to be successful. And what Milpark Education is about is giving people opportunity to unlock the human potential that is inside of them. And oftentimes we doubt the human potential that we have inside of ourselves, and we want to help you unlock that human potential that you have for you to be the best that you can be, the best CA, the best whatever you're going to be when you ultimately get your degree and you go into the workplace. So Tegan, from a flexibility perspective and how this was possibly able, the program enabled you to live the life you want, and the program to fit around that. Do you want to maybe just feed in as a student that's going to their second year with us?
First of all, good evening to everyone. It's wonderful to have you with us. I'm so excited. Sure, let's talk a bit about flexibility. And I think that's a big thing that draws a lot of people to this. And it was certainly a draw for me. And I think one of the big things when people think about flexibility is fitting around your lifestyle. And like a lot of us know, life happens, whether you're working full-time or I'm a student full-time, so I do study full-time. But what I think it does really well is it allows for realistic studying. You don't have to sit at that lecture at 8 a.m. If life happens and there's a problem, then you can only start your work at 9 a.m. And I think I can speak to it personally. And last year I tutored a little bit for a grade 10 for math. And it meant that I could fit my studies around that. And I still managed to get all distinctions for all my modules. So I tutored a bit on the side. So I didn't have a full-time job, but certainly a part-time job. And it allowed me to do both of those. And with the tutoring, it wasn't the same time every day and every week. So I could fit around. Sometimes it was at 2, sometimes it was at 3. But I also think a big thing with flexibility, and specifically with Milpark, is that it allows you to review content, and you can't always do that at a residential university. If you sit in your lecture and if it goes over your head or you didn't understand it, with Milpark, the content isn't going anywhere. It's always available on Canvas. So I can give you a personal example. When we touched on income tax now at the end of my first year and started income tax, I was straight out of school. I'd never seen income tax. So I didn't need to cram it all in my 1-hour lecture. I could look at it, and then the next day I went back and I thought I need a little bit more of a review on it. And then I booked a consult because Milpark support is absolutely amazing. And then 3 days later I had it down and I was fine with it in my exam, and I feel confident to go into my second year. So not only is there flexibility in your life, there's flexibility in how you study. And I think that also is competent for a CA, in that we can't pick up everything in the very first instance. So I hope that's answered some of your questions.
Great. No, it is good to hear. I remember when chatting to you yesterday, just in the lead up to this, you also mentioned that you would travel, and it would be a far distance for you to travel to university, etc. So again, there's some friction in your life that you could eliminate if you weren't with us.
Yes, and I live in Johannesburg, and I mean the closest residential university to me is realistically 25 minutes, but with traffic and people and load shedding, like I said, life happened. I was traveling some days more than I was actually sitting in a lecture. I would travel for a 45-minute lecture, and I'd travel for an hour and a half. I was literally leaving home in the dark and arriving home in the dark. And it became very unhealthy and unrealistic. And I found then by the time some mornings I got to university with all the traveling and that, my mind wasn't even on my studies, where here I find I can completely have my mind on my studies. And I think when I made the switch to an online, a lot of people said to me that same thing. How will you find that discipline, and how will you remain focused in that? But what I think a lot of people actually don't realize is moving to an online institution, it eliminates a lot of those distractions. It eliminates your traveling. It eliminates having to walk around a campus. A big thing for me was also that your content all comes in one place. It comes on Canvas. All the videos are on Canvas. All your content are on Canvas. We sometimes at a residential university I had to walk to one department to get my OneNotes. Then something would come online. One thing would come on an email. Another thing on Canvas. And it became almost close to impossible to thread it all together. Where here it's in one place and it's easy to keep track of. And for someone like me who's very detail orientated, that was something that was a big pull for me with Milpark.
Great. No, thank you for that, Tegan. It's great to hear from you, because you are talking what we we've built into the program. So it's wonderful. I mean, is our program perfect? No. And we even say to our students, nobody's perfect. If you strive for perfection, you, especially in the thing of accounting as well. The last time my balance sheet balanced, I'm a chartered accountant. And yes, I'm talking about in an assessment condition, was probably first year, because you realize it's not about balancing the balance sheet. It's about demonstrating competence. So your balance sheet may not balance, but you can still get 99% for the exam because you did all of the principles, and it's about competence, about demonstrating competence. Not, we say that a lot in our postgrad as well. If you're striving for perfection and completeness, you're going to bump your head somewhere. It's going to get you somewhere, but it's not going to get you often to where you want to get. Anyway, that's a side thing. The one question I saw in the chat was the question around, is it self-paced? Can you like sign on day one and then you get everything and you just can cram it all within a week or 2 weeks? No, we pace it for you. We have a schedule for you. So again, and the reason we do that is we want to do it in a way that we know you need a bit of reflection time. You need to consolidate before you move on. It's not about cramming. Just because we're online doesn't mean, okay, now there's a shortcut and there's a quick way to get a degree in that. And research shows that learning happens over a period of time. It doesn't just happen all of a sudden, like within a week or that. So we try and pace it as best possible, as we think works well for the student. I want to bring Jean-Pierre and Leonie in. Let's stay on the academic front. Jean-Pierre, Leonie, from your perspectives, in terms of the modules that you have and the students that you interact with, share some thoughts on feedback that you've received from students, some good moments, or that just in this domain of the structuring of the program, the flexibility of the program, etc., that would be useful for our audience to hear. Who can I choose first? Ladies first. There we go.
Leonie's nominating me. Okay, I'll go first. Thank you, Johnathan. Happy to be here, excited about this session. So to the point, the general feedback that we do get is that it is enjoyable, funny enough, that students enjoy the content. And something to mention on that is we don't just try to lecture and try to deliver content, but we try to be the change agents that actually get students to want to engage the content. And because of the way that it's structured, which is in a coherent, in a way that flows, there's a synergy, and those two aspects of the course, the actual content and how the course is delivered, those two speak together. I think one of the threads that run throughout the course, as well as each of the modules, is that it's a value add approach. So, for example, with maths, it's not a maths module that is done in a silo and you do it in first year and then you never ever come across that stuff again in your studies, let alone in your professional life. The way the content is structured, it incorporates the principles that need to be assessed, but it incorporates it in such a way that it's practical, and that you actually use it not only currently, but as well when you go on to your next semester or your next year. And so there's a value add principle in that. And the reason why the course is, or all the modules are paced, is that, as Johnathan mentioned, there's a certain level of understanding and a certain level of knowledge that you need to grasp at each point, because it's a value add approach. So if you fall behind, or if you just try and cram some of the content, you're not adding the value that ultimately the course or the BCom in general is intended for you to do. And I want to just jump a little bit further back in terms of what was mentioned by Charmari with regards to a little bit of a shift away from the FM generic finance approach to wanting to present like a mini CEO. And that too speaks to the value add approach, because your counterparts are going to be the finance managers and the CFOs. But because of the way this course is presented, you have that little bit of added value that you would be able to demonstrate. And when it comes time for the promotion between you and your colleague, then you might get it, because we're trying to bring it all together in a value added way. So just that little bit of extra value, it might go a long way. Thanks, Johnathan.
Excellent. Thank you. I wanted to add on, and then Leonie, you must come in, please, that, we also focus on this thing, and it like, I never want our BCom to lose this, is understanding, ensuring that our students get the understanding. It's not just like learning to write a test and you forget it. It's, I truly understand and I get it. Contextual learning helps with that, but not just, let's use something like standard costing. Hey, who out there knows about standard costing? We can learn mathematical formulas, but then do you understand what you're doing when you're calculating variances and what it tells us? So the focus on understanding, and then embedding this thing of lifelong learning to make sure that you're relevant in the workplace and you stay relevant in the workplace thereafter. Not give a man a fish, but teach a man or woman to fish so that they can feed themselves in their lives thereafter. Leonie, over to you.
Johnathan, I'm taking that fish and preparing a meal now. So first of all, so excited to be here. I am always bursting with excitement. You can ask Tegan in our classes. Usually people, they fear and they hate stats. So it's very difficult to get people excited about statistics, and everybody wants to know, where am I going to use this? How is this relevant? Why do I need to know all of this now? And I just love all of the content, the way this program is put together. Because yes, I loved where I studied, and I was at a university in Bloemfontein, and it was wonderful. And you learn so much, but did I really know what I did? And when I went into the workplace one day, I was very, I thought I was a little bit Miss Know-it-all. But when I got into the workplace, I was like, shibbit, where's all this knowledge? I don't know how to do stuff. And when I work through this content of ours, I'm getting goosebumps, because I realize we're teaching and we're preparing you to become well-rounded individuals. We want to separate the cream from the crop, so that one day I want people to say, this guy has Millpark on his resume. Yes, we're picking you because we know the quality of work, the type of person that's coming into this world. They're going to know more than the guy next to them, because they know how to apply their mind. They know how to do their job properly, and they've got the ethical confidence almost, not just the technical knowledge, but they know how to present themselves. We're going to make you, they always say, jack of all trades and master of none. But I want to disagree. Here we're going to make you a master of a lot of things. You're going to know a little bit of everything, and you're going to know how to present yourself one day in the working world, and that's going to separate you from the guy next to you, because you're going to understand what it is that you're doing. And really, I just love that. So Tegan, you can even, if you wanted to jump in and say, just in stats specifically, even with the law lecturers module, I see it as, I'm not here just to lecture you. I'm not here to stand and repeat what I'm giving to you, but we're almost like your study buddy. I'm going to teach you how are you going to get through this, and where to focus and how to apply it. And this is how you're going to use it and wonder in the real world. So instead of just sitting here, I can't be your personal tutor. I can't spoon feed each and every person. So it's still your life and your responsibility, and you need to to be proud of who you want to become. And we are going to support you and help you to be that perfect, well-rounded individual one day. We're supporting you every step of the way. And I've never experienced something like that. So this is just, the whole program is wonderful, really.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Yoni. Just off the back of this, I want to ask Charmari and Tegan to come in, because if we look at a module as well, there's support that we offer, and there's help. Let's stay focused on the academic domain and support in the academic domain with the quizzes we have, with the reflection activities, and those types of things. So Charmari, maybe just give us a bit more color about that. Tegan, talk to us about maybe how some of those things helped you on your journey.
Stunning. Tegan, is it okay if I go? Would you like to go first? Cool, thank you. Thanks, Johnathan. Yeah, you mentioned earlier that we release the content to students. Everything is not there all at once. And, it's almost like bombarding to the student with all of this content, and now where do I start? So firstly, students, we release the content on a weekly basis, and we help you through that. I'm going to get to how we help you through that, and then Tegan can feed in. But on that note, we don't just leave you as is. You have almost every week or every second week, over and above your assignments and your assessments and your tests, you will have certain quizzes or assignments or small little assessments that will help you to just make sure, did I understand this week's content? Am I still with the content? And am I still sticking to the schedule? So that's the first thing. I'm then going to be very broad in what I'm going to say, and then Tegan can color in the picture a little bit. So students, it's very important to know that sometimes people might think this is online. It is online, it is in the distance modality, but very important, we do not just leave you and there's your test and there's your videos and all of that. That does not happen at Milpark. So that is something that I'm definitely incredibly proud of. Every week we have live sessions. So if you work through your weekly content, you join the live session during the week, and you can ask your question to the lecturer, and we discuss the content, and we take the content and we make it and we fit it to the world of work so that you can understand actually what you've learned during that week. Then students, we also have platforms, we call it Viva Engage platforms. It's another platform where you can ask students and you can meet the rest of the students, and it's a whole community that you can engage with. Students, you also then have the option to book one-on-one consultations with us, where we can sit with you for 15, 30, 45 minutes if there's something you're struggling with. And then if I may call it, the good old email that you can also send to us for us to answer any questions or queries that you have. So that is just a quick big picture from my side to just inform you some of the support that we provide from our side, so that you're not left alone, even though it is online in the distance. You've got students around you, you've got us around you. We're definitely here for you. Tegan, would you mind to maybe give a little bit more detail of your experience from a student's perspective?
Sure. So just picking up 2 points, and I'm sure there's some people who will sit here and will agree and nod with me. When I did my residential university, I did a calculus course. And to this day, I have no idea why I did it. I can put the numbers in the formula and it can produce a number back to me. What that number means, what the formula is, I had no idea. And I mean, I did very well in math at school, and I just had no idea. And it became very much a parrot learning style, and it became very much a number cruncher. And I really picked it up when we had a review question. It said, well, now comment on your answer. And I looked at it for 6 marks, and I had absolutely no idea. Where I find with Milpark, and if you join you, and I'm hoping you're all going to join, you mustn't have any doubts, this is where you need to be. At the beginning of every lesson, every course week, they tell you exactly why you are doing the content. So for example, in our law lecture, we were doing contractual capacity, because you need to know what age you can enter into a contract. In economics, you have to do foreign exchange, because of course there's going to be imports and exports. I never, in my whole year of being with Milpark, have I ever doubted why we were doing the content. I knew why we needed to do it. I knew where it fitted in, and I knew how I would use it as a CA. And that was something I'd never experienced. And what that does also, and it's done it for me, it puts off a lot of light bulb moments. You're like, oh, okay, this is where it fits into the picture. And it really creates this big picture. And I know we have those 5 delivery themes, where at a residential university, I also felt it was very much this subject, and that subject, and they weren't interconnected. I didn't feel like I was doing a whole degree. It was like 4 individual subjects that had no idea why they were together. Where with the Milpark content, it links in our economics, it will say this links back to your financial reporting in terms of tax. And in your law, you need to know Companies Act. And it really does link up, and it creates this huge big picture that I haven't seen anywhere else. And then for the support channels, I wanted to touch on that. And there really is support channels for every type of personality as well. If you're a little bit shy and you don't want to book a consult, you can email the Viva Engage. I really encourage you to get a study buddy. I have a study buddy, and it's worked so well. And we live in different provinces, but we check in on each other. I'll be like, can you do this tax for me? If we can't do the tax, we both book a consult. And I think a big thing that Milpark, it was a real game changer for me, was the consult. You can book that 101. There is time with your lecturer, and it's your own time to address your own problems. And I never left, and I've probably had about 40 consults in the last year. I've never left the consult and been confused. I've always known what I needed to do, and I think it's reflected in my marks. I have distinctions for all my modules at the beginning of the end of year 1. So I think that was just touching on it. And the last thing I wanted to mention, I know it's been brought up, is the e-bike business. And that has also been absolutely amazing. Like I said, you go to a residential university or any other university and anywhere in the world, and sometimes it becomes very much, this is the textbook and content, and you learn it like a parrot. And with the e-bike business, it grows, and we hold it to this business, and it becomes almost realistic. It's not just this parrot learning, and I have an understanding, and sometimes it's really is amazing what they've done with it. They've thought of everything, and it all connects, and it doesn't feel chunky. It feels seamless, and I think that's the thing. It runs so smooth. So for anyone worrying, or for anyone thinking, oh, I don't know if I can parrot learn, you don't need to parrot learn, because Milpark teaches you to think. And even in exams, I know I can speak to the law. You learn the law, but in an exam and a test, they give you a scenario and you must apply it. And I know now I've finished my law course, but I feel very confident to go into the world because I had an example on a fruit industry. I had an example on an alcohol industry. I had an example on a farm. There was really everything. We did even a tent company, and you can really apply it anywhere. And I don't parrot learn. I don't learn at Milpark. I have an experience at Milpark, and I have an understanding. And I think that's been an absolute game changer.
Wonderful. Geez, wow. I want to go study that course. You're talking about a farm, you're talking about fruit and wine or alcohol. So it's like, I mean, those can all go together. It's an interesting journey you had in that course. Like, you buy a farm, you produce the fruit, you make alcohol from the fruit. Yeah. But there's law woven somewhere in there, right? That you spoke about. Well done on your distinctions and being so diligent with your studies and that. We are proud of our students when they do well as well. So well done.
Thank you.
I wanted to close a few loops. One is assessments. So for assessments, you do them online. You don't have to go to a venue and that. So you can study this BCom wherever, as long as you have internet connectivity, you believe in yourself, you've got the discipline in that, you can do it. With our PhDA, we do offer the option of going to write in a venue. That's that's for our PhDA. It's not for our BCom. You can do everything online. That was the one thing. The quizzes that you have as you go through the course also help you to just have these little touch points of how am I doing, regular assessments, small little mini assessments. And then just from a support perspective, academic, if we close it there, you were talking about consults, Tegan. You are able to consult with chartered accountants, with professional accountants, with competent people who know the content. This is not something we outsource. You consult with Jean-Pierre if you've got a question about his module. You consult with Leonie if you've got a question about her module. So those consults, you can choose for your subject, you can book it, and you can get it pretty easily and quickly. Those are done via Teams, so you talk like this and you actually interact and you're able to have a nice, rich consult. So from a support perspective, if you don't want to consult and and you want to fire a quick question, you can send it via email, and you can send your query in. We try and get back to our students within 24 hours. So it doesn't go into a black hole. We've got a sophisticated query system that your query gets answered, goes to the right person, and a competent person answers your query. There are live sessions on our program. We haven't mentioned the live sessions yet. So every module, every week, there are live sessions. What do the live sessions do? We don't teach. There's no live teaching moments. All of your lectures and everything are recorded there. You can access it whenever. In the live sessions, we just have a connection moment where we say, how are you doing? Are there any questions you want to ask? How are you doing with this tough concept? Is everything all right? So it gives you a forum where you can connect with other students that are doing the same thing as you, and you can answer a question. But the difference there, consult is one-on-one. If you want to ask a one-on-one question, a live session, like a group discussion, is where you can learn from peers and you can ask questions together. And another way to ask questions is, Charmari, you mentioned Viva Engage, where it's like a social media platform where you can post, students can answer each other's question, group learning again, that can happen. Lecturers will answer your question over there. And again, you don't have to wait too long. And there's also discussion forums within somebody mentioned Canvas. Canvas is our learning management system that we use, where all of your material is and that you can access. So a rich learning environment, a supported learning environment. And again, why I make the point of it's an online contact learning experience, not just an online learning experience that we have. Just on the flexibility as well, we do have a bridging program as well. So if you don't make our entry requirements are on our website. There's a fact sheet that tells you all about the delivery themes and the richness of the BCom. I love some of the modules as well, how we, the one point I wanted to bring across is when you're learning accounting, you're learning it with actually having to process the entries with Sage and that, and you're using an accounting system, and you're using Excel, and you're using these tools. You're not just learning about Excel. I remember when I studied my BCom, I learned about Excel and how to use Excel and formulas, and then I learned about accounting somewhere else. There wasn't interconnectedness of actually let's use this tool to do what we want to actually do as we are on the journey and as we are doing on our BCom. So there's this rich learning experience, and yes, there's the bridging program. So if you don't make our entry requirements, we have a bridging program. So if you don't hit the maths mark or that, I'm not going to go into the detail here because it is outlined on the website in the fact sheet there's a bridging. But the bridging program is uniquely structured that it's a stepping stone towards your BCom. So basically what we do is we say, let's take some of the first year modules from the BCom and let you do for the bridging program some of the first year modules. And if you are competent, you succeed in getting through those modules, well, then you A for away and you've already got credits towards your BCom and you can continue your journey. But what that also links with is flexibility, because we also offer a half workload option. A half workload is where you don't have to do it over. We don't look at part-time, full-time. We look at how much time do you have. And depending on how much time you have, well, you can either do a full load and try and do it in the minimum time of 3 years, or you can do a half load and you can do it over an extended period. So there's flexibility there, but we also have different intakes. So we have a January intake, and then we have now a July intake. Well, our applications are closing towards the end of July, programs kicking off towards the end of July, but we call it a July intake. Now, there was a question I saw, well, what does it mean if July intake, you haven't lost anything. You start from July and you're starting year one at the start of year one. You just got to break the mindset of, but I'm halfway through the year. No, yeah, you're halfway through the year, but you're starting like you would be a first year at the start of your BCom journey with us. In addition to that, we do give credit for if you have studied elsewhere. So we have a CAT, a credit accumulation transfer, where you actually would get recognition for studies elsewhere. You can put in a formal application in that regard. I mean, you can reach out to us. There's information on our website. We would just need your full transcript of where you have studied elsewhere. We need to understand the content that you've studied elsewhere. And just remember, we don't want to do you a disservice and put you on the train, and then we want to make sure you're set up for success. So we will consider what you've done, give you credit for what you've done, but then you will be required to do what you need to do then to continue your studies with us. There's also recognition of prior learning, RPL. So you can come through an RPL route. If you have been working for a while, then you can look at our RPL. You can put in an RPL application. And if you don't necessarily have the matric marks, but you've got the work experience, in that you can be RPL'd onto the program. So there's various ways to enter the program as well. Yeah, so the program starts on 29 July. We start within July. Yeah. Okay. So just thinking now, where I'd like to move Terry. Come onto the stage here with me. Terry. Because we're not only about the academics. I've already spoken about being a well-rounded, holistic. I was talking about graduate attributes earlier. Digitally relevant, entrepreneurial thinking. We want you to come out of this thing ready for the real world. So there's a lot of things in our graduate attributes, but we want you to be resilient. We want you to be able to be somebody who doesn't only have the head knowledge, but is a well-rounded person who's able to succeed in their future career. So Terry, talk to us about the non-academic support, because I know students struggle and they reach out to you and your team. Please.
Thanks, Johnathan. Yeah, if academic support was not enough, when I'm looking at all our lecturers and so supportive and passionate about what they do, we also added the additional layer of non-academic support, where the student support and development advisor team is embedded in the BCom program as well. So, as Johnathan mentioned, the type of support that we would provide is holistic psychosocial support that caters to a student's overall well-being on the program and attends to their needs whilst on the program. And one of our aims as student support and development advisors is to be this voice of reason for our students, lending a listening ear and a sounding board when our students need it. The support our team provides definitely goes hand in hand with the academic support that our lecturers provide, and it's just an additional layer of supports that sometimes students don't know they need until they reach out and engage with us as well. And some of that is like you can consult with a professional counseling psychologist if that's something you require. We also do one-on-one consultations as the lecturers do, but you can consult with one of our team, student support and development advisor team. We also host live sessions called BCom Wellbeing Live Sessions, where students come together who are registered on the program, come together in one virtual space. And the aim of these sessions are to provide students with some sort of resource or toolkit that can assist them on their learning journey and hopefully assist in their overall individual growth and development.
Yeah, so Terry, I just also wanted to make the point that you're in a team. It's not only you, and you serve as there's a few of you, what we call SSDAs, student support and development advisors. And yeah, there's something new that we're going to be trialing. We used to call it drop-in sessions, but you're going to be focusing actually on specific, not wellness, because I sometimes get it wrong. And you're not going to be doing exercises with the students and like an online aerobics class, but well-being, looking after students' holistic well-being. So I'm excited to see that going forward as well. Do you maybe want to touch on just some of what those well-being topics would be, or what you'd be focusing on some of the week?
No, definitely. So each week we present on a specific topic such as stress management. We provide students with like a stress toolkit or how to manage stress as they're studying potentially. We do things like resilience training, and how to build resilience as you navigate your learning journey. Another topic could be study techniques. How do we study? How do we understand this material? Alongside all the things that your lecturers already provide, we provide these additional layers. In addition to the topics that we provide, students also have an opportunity in these sessions to discuss what we have shared and to share what has been happening in and around their life and their unique learning journey. And often in this space is where we view that sense of community. Students form connections between one another, and they share in their experiences on the BCom program. Um, we also see our students are able to resonate with one another and are sometimes experiencing similar struggles or challenges. As Tegan said, life happens
Mm.
along the way, and it's always nice to have someone who is kind of going through the same experience sometimes. And in these sessions, we often see the walls of vulnerability are taken down, and once that happens, students have a real opportunity to learn from one another and to learn more about themselves in the process. So these Become Wellbeing live sessions are an amazing way for students to feel supported by the community of students, and at the same time gain a tool set that could assist them in their day-to-day life as well. I hope that
Wonderful.
answers some of what you wanted to
Yes.
hear, JD.
No, it does. I actually want to sign up for those and attend some of those. That's good. Terry, yourself, Khadija, and Nozipo, just the way you talk, you make me want to open up. You guys are so good at what you do, and I know you're good for our students as well. So it's great work that you guys are doing, and it's really important for our students. We especially see it in our PGDA space as well, where students are really under pressure with the volume of work, and our hope in the BCom is that the way the BCom is structured will provide students with the foundation, not only technical, but this thing that you're talking about, resilience and how to study and how to balance things, etc., so that they can successfully then actually get through the PGDA without bumping their heads up. We see a lot of PGDA students just hit the juncture of, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what to do, I can't cope. You want to comment on that? Just do you feel that what
Yeah.
you guys will do will lead to that?
Yeah, and I think because we find that many students who come into the programs, they focus all their attention on the academics as they should, but at the same time they are pulled in different directions in their personal lives and could be faced with challenges that they are sometimes unsure of how to handle. And in our one-on-one consultation, students can come to us for various reasons, but essentially we address whatever the student needs, and in addition assist students in like recognizing their innate abilities. We facilitate their growth and development and ensure they can maintain this positive mindset while they are on our programs as well. So as I mentioned, it all kind of fits together to kind of ensure that you are successful and that you are not only left with the tools necessary, but also to build that resilience within yourself, to believe in yourself. Because if you have purpose and this belief, you can definitely be successful on our programs.
Yeah, no, that's great. Oh man, it's good to hear that. It excites me as well. Those goosebumps, Leonie, I feel them. Okay, that's non-academic support. From the perspective of our institution, I just wanted to mention quickly that we are very proud, Milpark, of, if we think of our PGDA quickly, our bridging program PGDA that we have, that we are now the largest contributor to the CA pipeline in the country. So we have the highest number of writers at SAICA's first board exam, the RTC, and we have the highest number of passes as well. So last year it was just the highest number of passes, but now we have the highest number of writers as well. So as our volume is increasing, so we are very proud of that. We are going to continue doing that, and our BCom is going to feed into that. So if you are listening and you're considering studying the BCom, and we really, if I mean, come and join us. If you're looking for a good place to get a good BCom and set yourself up for success to become the CEO that you want to be, know that you're going to be part of that contingent of writers of RTC that's going to come from the institution that provides the highest number and the highest number of passes. So we are proud of that. That is just something that we, especially in, and I mean, we've grown into that in 3 or 4 years. So it's just testament that if you do education good and proper, then success follows thereafter for students and the organization as a whole. So quickly, then another key thing on our BCom that I want to touch on, if we come back to our BCom, and it is in this domain of building a holistic, graduate that comes out of the program and starting them on the right foot. What we get students to do at the beginning of the program in that introductory module is, and I don't know if there's people in the audience that have maybe done this, is to do Gallup's Strength Finder. I've done it in recent years. I found it a game changer in my life, and we get every student to do Gallup's Strength Finder. So you, at the start of the program, get to see what your strengths are, how you wired. It's not just, are you an introvert or you're an extrovert? Do you like fun, or do you like whatever in your life? What type of person are you? No, this tells you, are you a learner? Are you an achiever? Are you a strategist? Are you a relator? What are your actual strengths? I think there's about 35 or 36 strengths that there are, and they look at your top 5. So you get to understand a bit more about you, and then you reflect on them in your journey. And when you actually know your strengths, and then you see how you are as a person, because a little snippet there of what this also means is when we're under pressure, we as humans tend to default to our strengths. And if you know your strengths, you just got to be careful, because when you're under pressure, you default to these strengths, and you're going to be like, wow, that is actually me when I'm under pressure. And I've got to be careful of that in my life, because your strengths make you great, but it can also make you dangerous when you're under pressure. So it's about learning a bit more about yourself, which is great. And then smarter measure is something else as well. It's basically like just an assessment on where are you and your readiness for entering into tertiary education and your success in the BCom, literacy, numeracy, and various reading, thinking, whatever it may be. It assesses those things and gives you a bit of a score on how you are, and it gives you feedback on how you can actually improve on areas where you maybe need to improve for you to be successful in your BCom. So I don't know if anybody on the panel wants to share on that, Tegan, from a student's perspective, or those academics, or whoever, just on the benefit of those aspects of our BCom.
Sure, I can go. It was definitely also something that was interesting to me, and it was something I'd never seen. And I think what it did was it actually shifted my whole perspective before I even started any content. And I'll share a little bit. One of my big ones was a competitor. And at school, that was viewed very much as a bad thing. You mustn't compete. We're all the same in that. And when I read into it, they had such an interesting perspective on that. I don't compete with other people. I'm very competitive with myself and what I can achieve. And I just want that extra 1% in that. And it changed my whole perspective. At school, it had always been a bad thing to be competitive. And then it was now one of my strengths. And it was something that does work in my favor. And I'm competitive with myself. For example, if I get 71% world distinction, 75, we can push for those extra 4%. I can make those changes. And another one that came up for me was discipline. And I knew starting an online degree, I need discipline. So that was great. And I can't speak for myself, but I know one of my fellow students, when we did the test, she actually realized she had been studying wrong her whole life. She had been very much doing parrot learning and also that repetition. And her test actually came back and said she was someone who needed to write it down and color coordinate it. And I know she had messaged me, and like I said, I have good friends on this program. That's one of the amazing support and that. And her marks had actually improved because she had now begun to study actually how she should have been studied, suited to her learning style. And throughout our school careers and our life, no one had ever taught us this or told us this. It's like crazy. You get to 20 and now it's like, this is how you should be studying. And you look back and think that would have made life and some other things a lot easier. And I mean, that's got nothing to do with content. It's not anything tax related. It's got nothing to do with audit. It's something personal that Moorpark gives you. And it's something you can't get anywhere else.
Fantastic. Charmari, Jean-Pierre, Leonie, you want to feed in on that at all? Have you heard any feedback from students with that?
I wanted to just add to what Tegan said there. Maybe at first it's a brilliant way to get to know yourself and find ways where you can study better so that you can perform better. But as you get more into it and you start working and you're your own employer maybe even, and you start liaising with your fellow employees, then you are also going to see how your personality is in comparison maybe to their personality, and find ways so that you can actually work better together and make a positive difference in the workplace. So we also use the Gallup Strengths Finder in our teams, and that really helps to understand each other and to, what is the old saying, to put yourself in someone else's shoes. If you know what their strengths are and then how that works together. So I just wanted to add that. Thanks, Johnathan. Thanks, Tegan.
No, great. Thank you. Yeah, that is something that, and it's done in that first 5-week module, APAS, Introduction to Professional Accounting Studies. You learn a bit more about yourself and then a general context, well, not general context, but just a general outline and a good idea of where I'm going with these. So you don't have to get to the end of second year and realize, oh, I don't want to become a CA anymore. So there's a 5-week crash course and you really don't want to do this thing anymore, then you can hit the eject button. But I'm sure that you won't want to do that because of the rich, nice learning experience that we craft for you. And becoming a CA is absolutely amazing. It opens doors, and it's not as dull as boring as some people may think. There are CAs that do amazing things, travel the world, and are, not only limited to finance or number crunching, which is super cool. Okay. We do have other programs. So we've got our bridging program. We are proud that recently our bridging program was accredited by SAICA. It is now, well, not accredited, it's actually called recognized. It was recognized by SAICA. It's recognized for AGA SA purposes. So you can, on our website, find out more about that. But what does that mean for those in the audience that have maybe done a degree before? You don't necessarily need to do the BCom to kickstart or go on your CA learning journey. If you've done a degree and it's got second year accounting, it doesn't matter what degree, as long as it's a commerce degree and you've got second year accounting that's completed in that degree, you can go into our bridging program, which is a minimum of 6 months, but can also be done half workload, etc. And that can gain you access into the postgraduate diploma in accounting. I saw a question about CIMA, somebody who studied CIMA. If you are needing a degree for SAICA purposes, well, then you need to do a degree. If you've just done CIMA and gone and done CIMA's various papers and levels, and you haven't actually got a formal qualification, and that's what SAICA requires, well, then you'll have to embark on a journey to obtain a formal qualification. We are planning and working on various other programs and that at the moment. So CA and Chartered Accountancy or AGA is not going to be the only options within our school. So we are working with other professional bodies and looking at CIMA and various other professional bodies as well. So just that you know that is also on the cards. So that is on the bridging. That is our bridging program, which we call BCTA. That may be a term that you're familiar with, or CTA, and then the bridging into CTA, the BCTA. And so that covers those domains. Right. So I've covered most of what I've wanted to discuss up to this point in time, and we are actually over time. We're a few minutes over time. So I want to just ask the panel, is there anything else that anybody else would like to share? It's been great talking, and I think we've communicated a lot of what our BCom is about and the goodness of our BCom. Tegan, I would like to hear if there's anything else from you in particular, because I've loved hearing from you and your learning journey with us. But I'm just opening the stage quickly for a few last remarks, if there are any.
If it's okay with everyone, I've seen the question come up a couple of times. I just want to touch on it in terms of the testing and how that works. And I think it's very important. It's something that frightens everyone. We all know that exam stress. And I just want to touch on it. It runs online. It runs off your laptop. And really all you need is stable internet connection. It runs off a program called Proctorio. It runs smooth. You scan your ID. You sit at your desk and you take the test and you type on it. Sometimes you use a PowerPoint, or we have a digital skills one, so you use an Excel spreadsheet and you upload it and it takes it. It's all in one place. It's also not, it runs smooth in the sense that you don't have various exam papers. You know, sometimes you go to institution, they give you a book and a bubble card, and then they give you something else and it's hard to coordinate. It's all in one place. It comes like almost like a quiz format. Sometimes there's multiple choice. Sometimes you type out your answer a little bit. And it does run smoother. It's like taking a test just on your laptop. And I mean, isn't that what all CAs need, those digital skills? I sometimes think what I've picked up more from this degree than the content itself is the digital skills. I met up with a friend during the holidays and she said to me, gosh, I don't know how I'm going to go into the working world and type out an email. I have no problems typing out an email, coordinate with my lectures on email. And it's those little golden speckles that you don't actually realize you get from an online degree that will assist you in being a CA. So I don't want anyone to stress about the testing. Even if you do a quiz online, some of the quizzes are auto-graded, so you get your mark straight away. They're not all proctorial. Sometimes you can sit and take them whenever you want. And because Millpark is so in tune with the flexibility, how some of them have worked in first years, they open on a Wednesday and they only close the following Monday. So you don't have to write at that 8 a.m. specific time if your life happens or you've got another thing or you work. A lot of people work full time. You can write on the weekend. I used to write on like Wednesdays and Thursdays. Those were good days for me. But I know some of my fellow students who had kids and jobs, they could write on the weekend when they had a bit more time and peace in that. So there is that leeway in that. The only thing that has a set structure is our exams, and then that you maybe have to put in leave or that. But you know those dates when you sign up with registration. I already know my second year exam date, so there's more than enough time to plan. And one last thing I wanted to say is Millpark is very good in their admin. I see that's come up quite a bit as well. At the beginning of your semester, you get all your dates, your quizzes, your tests, your exams. And that was something I found I had to like beat out of the residential university. I couldn't tell you the dates of my tests. I didn't know when they were coming up. On the Tuesday, you would arrive and be like, oh, yeah, tomorrow's the test. And I had no idea where that had come from. Here, you get all your dates. You can plan in advance. You know your dates. It's nothing to stress about. So even if you are working full-time or you're making a change or whatever you need, there is a lot of admin. And you get hold of BCom support. Sometimes they come back to me within 3 minutes on the email. There really is no time lag. It runs so smooth. It is amazing. Sometimes they come back to me before I even leave my laptop. So I just wanted to run that by everyone. You don't need to have any fears. It really runs from the content to the admin to the testing. It is so seamless. It really, really works.
Now we value our students and support our students as best possible. And that's not a chatbot or an automated reply, by the way, Tegan. Jean-Pierre, go for it.
Johnathan, if I can add, yeah, thanks. If I can add on what Tegan said. So we, and I mean this sincerely, we have an interest in the students that we lecture. Although we called lecturers, as has been said earlier, we don't lecture. It's more we advise. We more as coaches and mentors, and it's because we have an interest in students, and we prioritize students. So obviously Millpark is an established institution and there's standard operating procedures that happen on the back end. But if it comes to a student query, or if it comes to a matter regarding a student, that is prioritized, whereas we would have to meet certain standard operating procedure deadlines within days. If something comes up and it relates to a student, we will have to do it on the spot. And we enjoy that. If I can just add something short, a colleague that left, that left on good terms, and has even said that she would love to be back once the class that she was lecturing graduates. I spoke to her recently, and she was telling me just how much she enjoyed staying after her lecture and just talking to students. It was for her, it was so amazing. And that's how we are as the team. In and amongst the team, we kind of a bit competitive when it comes to the live sessions. How many students did you have? How many? Okay, I had less, but next week I'll have more. I don't have any consultations today. I don't know why my students don't want to talk to me. So we enjoy engaging with students, although it's online.
Wonderful, wonderful. If you have missed anything, there will be a recording of this session. It will be uploaded. Check the chat. There's email addresses were shared. If you have any questions, to email, website links were shared, and that there's a lot of information there. As I mentioned, there's also the fact sheet, which has great information. But I think let's land it there. I want to thank everybody that was sharing and with me on the stage here. So thank you, everybody. There's also support staff that have helped. So thank you with answering the chat and the organizers and that. It's been great. And I always have lots of fun talking about our programs, which we're so excited about and happy about. So all the best to all of you. Thank you for joining us. And we hope to see you as students in our online contact environment soon. And just a reminder, the applications close end of July, 26 July, if you're a new student wanting to enter first year with us. So make haste, because time flies quickly if you want to join us and register with us. Thank you, everyone.